Alright, so continuing on with the vinyl collection, I have Peter, Paul, and Mary. And if you don't know who Peter, Paul, and Mary are, they were a folk group from the 60s with songs like Puff the Magic Dragon, I believe. But unfortunately, Mary passed away in 2009. But Peter and Paul are still alive and doing very well. And here's the back, and it says Rousey and Reel, the folk singers three, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And here's are just some of their songs. And yes, as you can tell, that's my grandfather's name. And it's still, the tapes are still in bad condition, I know. But here's what the record looks like. That's that. Next we have Simon and Garfunkel. Again, they were another group from the 60s, and their hit song, Mrs. Robinson, was featured in the 1967 movie The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft. And here it says featuring the complete version of their hit Mrs. Robinson, and the album is called Bookends Simon and Garfunkel. And here is the back. It has like the song lyrics on here as usual, and it's still in plastic for some reason. I have to like take it off, but it's still open. But I'm not gonna take it out and show you the record because I'm not gonna exit the camera off. But here's the record. Next we have the Decade of the 50s album. This is the era of memorable song hits. And what's interesting about it, that, look, kind of folds up like so, and the songs from the 50s that were made famous. And here's what it looks like right here. And these are just other great decades albums that people might be interested in, like 30s, the 40s, and the 60s. I want the 60s. But yeah, the 50s album. The poodle skirt still very popular. It was popular then. Next we have Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads tribute. It's from the 80s, I believe. This was already in my house, so here's the back, and here's what the cover looks like inside with Ozzy and the rest of his friends, his heavy metal friends, hard rock friends. And yeah, so that's the album. Next we have Do the Twist with Ray Charles. And this was, and it says BW, that's my grandfather's initials, but it was already in my house. It shows you how, the back shows you how to do the twist and everything. So. But here's the record right here. And yeah, so the next one is Georgia Brown, the sensational new singing star of Oliver. As you already might not know this, she originated the role of Nancy in both the West End and the Broadway productions of Oliver, the musical adaptation of Charles Dickens' novel by the same name. And here's the back, and here's a photo of her just recording in the studio. And this song, As Long as He Needs Me, she made this song famous in Oliver. This song is in Oliver. So, it says, her soul's the size of a schoolyard, large, and permissive, wide open and inviting. The fences are down and the margins are blurred, so that the loud, sad talk of life can spread itself freely, casting cares in recess. Yawning recess. Bells rings restrictedly. Classes are called, but bless her, the schoolyard runs the school. But unfortunately, Georgia Brown died 26 years ago from cancer, I believe it was. But here's the record, and I've played it already, and it sounds amazing. But yeah, this is Georgia Brown. The next one, you're going to be shocked that I have this. This is a Star Wars soundtrack. This is from the first Star Wars movie that came out in 1977. And here's the back with Darth Vader on it. Let's see, Danny, I don't know if you can see it. It's Danny Ross, my uncle. I think this is his. And here's the inside. It shows you scenes from the movie Star Wars, and there you can see my uncle's name clearly. So that's the Star Wars, and if any of you guys are Star Wars fans, you're in luck. The next one I have is the motion picture soundtrack to the movie Porgy and Bess, an original soundtrack recording the Samuel Goldwyn motion picture production of Porgy and Bess with Sidney Poitier and Dorothy Dandridge. And here's the back, and these are all the song lyrics, and it also stars Sammy Davis Jr. and Pearl Bailey, and it has music by George Gershwin and the lyrics by Douglas Hayward and Ira Gershwin. And it was actually directed by Dorothy Dandridge's lover at the time, Otto Preminger, and distributed by Columbia Pictures. And it also has the Cab Calloway as Sport and Life. So here's what the record looks like. Next we have the original Broadway cast album of Pippin with the Stephen Schwartz musical. Here's the back as well. And the leading player is now played by a girl, but in the original it was played by this guy, Ben Viren. He was the original leading player. And here's the inside of the musical right here, and the song lyrics. Next I have the original Broadway cast recording of Camelot with Richard Burton, Julie Andrews, and Robert Gowan. It also co-starred Roddy McDowall, and this was before Richard Burton married Elizabeth Taylor and before Julie Andrews made it big with Mary Poppins. And even though Richard Burton never won an Oscar, he did win a Tony for Camelot. And here's the back as well. And gotta get this out. It's hard to take the records out while holding the camera, but here's the record. And next I have is the Three Penny Opera. And I actually never heard of this before, but here's the back as well. And this guy, he played Gomez Addams in the Addams Family, just to let you all know. But here's the inside. Next I have a show I've never heard of before, the original Broadway cast recording of Shenandoah, starring John Coleman. And here's the back. I don't know if anything about that show, so I'm just not gonna say anything. Next one I have the original Broadway cast recording of The Chorus Line, and here's the back right here, and here's the inside of the album. Next I have the original Broadway cast recording of Company, the show that has the song Being Alive. And here's the back. And here is the record itself. And the last one I have is Rodgers and Hammerstein's original Broadway cast recording of South Pacific that starred Mary Martin and Ezeazo Penseas, if I can pronounce his name correctly. And here's the back. And here's the inside, and here's the composers of the show. And that's Richard Rodgers, and that's Oscar Hammerstein II. And I'm not really big on Rodgers and Hammersteins, but for the sake of my grandfather, I will keep this. But yeah, that was this part 2 of my vinyl collection, and I will see you all in part. Oh, and if you have all 15 of these albums, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear you guys' comments, but